Stay outside, Dima. Oh. Ah, okay. Good. Okay, we're live. Very good. Bit of classroom today using my chalkboard. So, the only reason I'm doing it like this is because there is a lot of information that I want to cover and I don't want to miss. And I want to uh, put down the key points of what I feel is important when it comes to dreams and how much they are important and how they're significant in our daily lives and how much they play a role at providing a platform um, for our physical reality to take shape. So, a lot of people tend to think that dreams are um, something of the imagination. So, I'd like to go into a little more detail, some high alchemy here on Andulairah, and I hope that you enjoy my little live session. So, what I'm going to do is basically cover um, the bulk of the information that I'm wanting to give and to share, and then I'm going to move probably into my bathroom where it's nice and cool and take some Q&A. So that's how I'm hoping that this goes. So yeah, so I've obviously, if you followed me for a while, you'll know that I've been talking about dreams, dream interpretation, how they apply to our physical day-to-day realities, um, and also talking about the significance of them, how they are at a frequency, at a level that you could refer to um, as a template level where our physical realities are formed and how we, no matter how much you believe, how we are conscious of what we're doing when we are in a subconscious state of mind, just how much input we have into our physical realities and how our dreams provide a template reality as to how the day or how our present reality is going to unfold. Perhaps the next day, the next week, the next year, the next 50 years, who knows? But that is the beautiful complexities of existence and that web, that network that we are a part of. So anyway, like there being that we live in a linear world, we tend to want to categorize our dreams. We tend to want to interpret our dreams um, that makes sense to us. And that's perhaps the most beautiful and the most frustrating things as human beings is that, uh-oh, it's a little windy outside. And I haven't shut my door properly, so I'm hoping that it stays closed because it's it will get real in here if that door comes open. So anyway, as I was saying, as humans, we really try to make sense of our dreams and try to categorize them. Okay, I'm gonna shut that door. It's gonna swing open. Okay. So we try to make sense of our dreams and you know have some kind of linear sense, some kind of linear congruency to try and make sense of what is happening in our dreams and how they apply to our daily lives. But for the most part, most of us don't realize just what we are in general anyway. And it's very hard as a human to try and comprehend what we are. You know, this one physical layer, this shell that you see on the screen, for me, that's just one of an infinite number of existences and uh, bodies that I exist within. Um, and so a lot of people spend time in trying to work out, well, what can they dream about, and how can they control their dream time, and setting intentions of how they are hoping for their dream time to turn out. Um, but you have to have faith in the way that your body and your total self works, because it's so much deeper than just this physical surface layer. You don't have to wonder about how you form a dream before you go to bed at night, because your body has that already worked out. Your body already has that worked out, and each dream alters the physical world to some extent already. Um, and every dream that you have is of a highly meticulous nature. There is no accident as to why you are experiencing a certain dream. And I'm going to get into more detail about that. But dreams involve the most intimate mechanics of how physical events are formed, at the most intimate level. So, that kind of leaves some, so that kind of gives you a little bit of slack. You can relax, guys. You can relax as a human being, knowing that your subconscious knows what it's doing. Your subconscious knows what it's bringing up in the dream time for you to address and for you to go through this. It's so much more intricate than you could possibly imagine. Your dreams are tied up to your biological makeup, and like coded biological connections within the dream time and within imagery within dreams, are relative to all the physical activity that you experience in this physical manifestation. So there's so many layers when it comes to the dream time, why you are experiencing the dreams that you are. And of course, there's nothing stopping you from going to bed at night and setting an intention of saying to the universe, saying to yourself, because you are the universe, basically saying, tonight I intend to experience or recollect the dreams of the highest importance. I mean, they're all important, no matter how cryptic um, they seem to be, because for us as humans, we are so used to we're so used to uh, trying to categorize and put these experiences into boxes so we can understand what's going on. But a lot of this, a lot of our natural alchemic makeup is, you can't understand it. I don't think as humans we will understand it. Perhaps we can make our own interpretations, and I absolutely encourage people to make their own interpretations, but there's so many more layers. So I think the best thing you could do as a human is to allow yourself to have to really think wide and big with your interpretations. Don't depend on animal symbology or events that are happening in the world. It's so much more than that. It's like this sticky framework, this web that you are just so in deep with. You're so involved with. It's so beyond um, you know any kind of rational explanation, um, especially into a language, trying to speak it in language form. It's so beyond the spoken word. But I will say that. Sorry, I got my little notes here so I don't miss points that I wanted to cover. Um, so like dreams are so pivotal in our physical mechanism, our physical bodies, and a dream can actually cause hormonal and chemical changes in the body. Yes, who would have thought that the power of dreams can actually alter hormones and chemical reactions within your body? But that is what dreams are capable of doing. Um, dreams, you know how you feel when you are frightened in a dream. You know you're going to die in a dream, right? When you're having a nightmare, I mean, can you imagine how much adrenaline is created and spiked within your bloodstream when you're dreaming? It's horrendous, and you wake up and you're in a sweat and you're panting. I mean, dreams, and in many ways, dreams have that capability of doing that. And as much as a nightmare is nightmarish to experience, it's pivotal. It's important, and experiencing these traumas or something bad in a dream can act as a catalyst for growth, or for you to be out of your comfort zone. So there's always reason behind it, and don't get too caught up in what it could mean, or is this an impending event that's going to happen. Again, it's dreams are just so cryptic, and it's the dream language is so beyond a spoken language, an earthly spoken language, that the best, I feel, the best interpretations of dreams is trying to draw them, or paint them in colors, or be inspired by making music. Dreams have that capacity of acting as catalysts. Dreams are absolutely catalysts for human development, for soul growth, human development, for things, so many things that we experience. Um, yes, so dreams are tied into your biological makeup. Coded biological connections within dream images are relative to all physical activity. Um, yeah, so, like each dream is chosen with the highest discrimination. Um, and there are no random dreams. There is nothing random. And I mean, if you've been watching my videos, you'll know for the longest time I talk about, um, I really place importance in that, saying nothing is random. Everything is chosen. Every single moment of your life has been chosen by you up until this point, to the very breath you're taking right now watching this video. So, dreams act in so many ways. There's so many um, traits of a dream, so many characteristics. They send messages to the organs, they send messages to the cell. Um, Dreams connect you with um, the processes of how physical events are formed. So it's so many. There's so many layers to dreams. Um, and events gain events in your life gain their characteristics by how much importance or significance you place on them. So within that framework, within that metaphysical framework, if you have a strong belief in Christianity, your dream or yourself will interpret that in the dream state and bring in symbols, a symbol perhaps being, for example, Jesus or the Virgin Mary, into your dream cycle. So you so you understand what is playing out. It's a part of your, it's relative to your framework, relative to your belief system. It's your belief system and nobody else's. So, um, like there's so much that goes into it that it's I find it in many ways very hard to um, describe or even make sense of. But I do know that dreams are not just a figment of your imagination. Dreams are a catalyst, they are a pivotal aspect of our creation. They give us a window, glimpses into other universes that we can only basically, no pun intended, dream of. It gives us glimpses into our other selves, that other portion of ourself that is so expanded, that is at one with everything else. It gives us that connection to our other selves, to star family, to um, other beings, other energies, other lifetimes. I mean, it's just such a kaleidoscope of it's everything we are. It's everything we are. We have the glimpse of everything else we are, other than physical reality. And so that's why dreams should never be underestimated. Dreams should always um, be acknowledged, because the more that you acknowledge your dreams on a conscious level, you are acknowledging them, or you are at least acknowledging your subconscious self, because your subconscious self is obviously subconscious. It's not in that conscious state, and this is where your subconscious is at work and at play, and in activity is in or on that dream template level. And it acts as a gateway to give you access to information, to imagery, to events, to things, to beings, to creatures that um, you may not otherwise have in physical reality. So, because existing in physical reality, um, there needs to be certain uh, mechanics in place in order for you to function smoothly throughout your day. If you are someone who is psychic, or someone who is clairvoyant, or there's only so much that I feel we are, I won't say allowed to experience, but able to experience um, of the other part or portion of the matrix, or of the non-physical self, because otherwise we would be confused. We would not be able to decipher the difference between um, someone who is in a military uniform, who for some reason has slipped into this reality, where, I mean, it's confusing. So we our bodily makeup is set in our physical reality, because if we're seeing too many other realities at one time, we are going to get distracted. We're going to get confused. So there's a reason. It's almost as if there is a cap on how much we are allowed to experience on non-physical. It really depends individually on how much um, you can experience of non-physical. There are some people on this planet that are always experiencing non-physical in their physical lives, but they have created a healthy balance, and can learn how to dim that. Like, I mean, for myself, for example, as a clairvoyant, there are non-physical events. I mean, there are non-physical events happening around every single one of us all the time. There is a constant dialogue with non-physical all the time. We are surrounded by non-physical entities all the time. They're closer than our breath. But um, there needs to be a dimming switch for those that um, get distracted easily. So I know, at least I can dim it. I can dim it, but when it's turned on is when I'm doing like clairvoyant readings, especially in the dream time. I don't think there's been a night where I've slept that I don't remember at least one of my dream scenarios of what is playing out. Um, and it's always been like that for me because I give such acknowledgement to um, the non-physical and the dream state. I know the importance and the significance of that. So there needs to be some kind of safety valve or a safety switch for the human biosystem in order to function smoothly in daily life. Because otherwise, it would just, you could pretty much understand like someone that suffers schizophrenia and is not medicated. Um, there are studies being shown that they have high levels of imbalanced dimethyltryptamine moving through the neural pathways of the brain. There's an imbalance of that, and so I mean, obviously, many of us know now dimethyltryptamine or DMT is a very trendy thing in this day and age. It's been around forever, just not in the Western world. But we all know, when you ingest something like ayahuasca, that is a high concentration of dimethyltryptamine in the form of vines, how we are tripping, basically. We are tripping, and we are experiencing a lot of that non-physical portion of ourselves. So, I guess a little bit of empathy would be invited, would be needed for someone that suffers from psychosomatic conditions such as schizophrenia, because there has been shown, research has shown that there is a higher level of dimethyltryptamine in the bloodstream of someone that suffers from schizophrenia. So, there needs to be a safety valve in order for one to function smoothly in daily reality. Unfortunately, some people just don't have that. Sometimes physical injury can actually open up those gateways. Physical trauma, emotional trauma can actually open those gateways into the psychic self and accelerate it beyond anything um, they've ever experienced in physical reality. You can have massive head injury, you wake up in hospital, and suddenly you are seeing your dead grandma standing at your bedside that died maybe 30 years ago with her sister, Aunt Ethel. So that just shows you how, um, you know, physical injury can open up these non physical gateways, which have always been there, which are always there with every single person. We're all made with the same kit. So it's just a matter of how much is safely allowed in. And, if you can consciously um, control how much you let in the forms of meditation, or if you are an active user of something like ayahuasca or DMT, or any kind of hallucinogenic substance. I'm not talking about you're needing to take ingestible substances in order to hit that non-physical reality, because it can be done very easily through certain breath work and meditation. Some people don't need to do any of that. Some people can literally have a non-physical experience on an airplane. Um, so it really is unique to the individual. Um, so also we are dreams being that they are, so the dream template helps us form our physical reality, helps us create what physical events we are going to experience in our physical lives. Um, but in order for these probable events to manifest, they must meet certain time, space constituents or conditions, because I mean this is how perfected we are as a biosystem, as a kit, that we can have these mechanisms in place where we have so much non-physical going on in a non-linear reality, and then get all that mishmash together and create some kind of sense of that in our daily lives. So not only, I mean, this is the perfectedness of our being. You know, we function in a biosystem that regulates at what, 37 degrees with a pH of 7, which is regulated with these buffer systems throughout the body, the adrenals. What else is there? The lymphatic, um, and the respiratory system. We have all these buffers in place to keep our bodies, all these trillions of cells, operating and working together with all our cells, with all our organs. Everything is working together in a homogeneous environment that is so flawless. And then you have this biosystem that is in constant dialogue with this non-physical aspect of ourselves, and interpreting all the communication going on with, like trees, the atmosphere, animals, um, not to mention all the things we can see, like the flawlessness and the perfectedness of our creation is is unspoken. It's just so flawless. And yet we are so hard on ourselves. We we are so awful to ourselves and to each other. And we just do not understand the incredible beings that we are. We take it for granted so much at how look, I'm touching my face and I'm talking at the same time, and I'm breathing, my heart's beating, and how all this is happening all at the same time. How much, how much, flawless communication is going on between all these elements, all this stuff going on. How this all is so married together so flawlessly, all this flesh and blood and then non-physical reality. How it just conjoins together is just so beyond me. I just can't put it into fucking words. It's unbelievable. So, and coming back to the dreams are obviously a huge factor in that. And you can even look. This is how incredible it is. You can even, let's just say you fall out with a friend, okay? You fall out with a friend and you don't want to talk to them. Like you're over them. You need some space. You can actually work out your arguments or your differences in the dream time. You can work it out and come to resolution in your dream state. So you don't actually have to have any kind of confrontation with them again. Work it out in the dream state. When you get to that acknowledgement and you are so conscious of your dream state, you can work out anything. You set your intentions, but your body already knows, like your whole existence, your whole beingness already knows what you are intending or desiring, or what it is that you're wanting to do. It's already 1,000 steps ahead of you, because you have to remember, you've come into this physical reality and you've come in with the themes you're exploring, and you've come in with the people, you've made agreements with others, other beings, other selves, of experiencing certain conditions and experiencing certain events. And you come in with that, um, with that knowingness, knowing that this is going to happen. And so you play it out together. You play these games. You know what? I've had this plugged in and I haven't even turned the damn electricity on. I'm so surprised that this live stream has not cut out, because it very much could have very, very soon. So, we're all in it together. We plan these things, we do these things, and, we are coasting through physical reality, and there is nothing that happens randomly. It's worked out in non-physical, and in particular, the dream state, the dream template reality, which is us, which is a part of us. So I mean, the dream state, it really is our psychic platform to view other realities. It is a gateway into other worlds, into other universes, We can have prophetic dreams. We can have dreams that inspire us to do certain things. I know I got certain elements of my book, the Arunasis Medallion, through the Dreamtime. I was inspired to write this book because of dreams that I experienced. I mean, is that not nuts? But that is dreams. You know, a lot of my UFO abduction experiences I've recalled in the dream state, and have drawn these beings because of these dreams. Um, you know, one experience that I am in the process of drawing now was an encounter that I had of I was piloting a spacecraft and we were on Mars. I was a Martian basically, and I had a crew of about 6, and this disk was going down. We were crashing. Something had happened, and I just remember feeling the gravitational pressure of this disk falling out of the sky, and we were crashing down to a Martian soil, and we were in distress. We were in distress. I was fiddling around with buttons, and I just remember, and it's so vivid, a crew of about 4 or 5 beings that just appeared to help me to try and configure and get this craft lifted upright again, so it wasn't plummeting through the sky, through the night sky. It was at nighttime. And I just remember feeling such an affinity with one of them, a blonde one, and just embracing him so hard. I felt like I hadn't seen him in such a long time. I could draw his face now. I remember what he looked like. So that just shows you how dreams can give you a window into these other existences that, for the most part, most of us have no idea about. So anyway, I feel like I've spoken a lot about dreams, the template, reality of the dream time, and how basically dreams form the framework of what our physical reality is to become. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move now, and I'm moving you with me. So this could be a little bit of a delicate process, maybe. Right. If you cut out, which is highly likely, I will bring you back. But I'm going to turn this off. Whoops, sorry. Okay. Got you down here. We're going in the bathroom. Oh, goodness. You know what? My computer is... I don't know if you can hear that sound, but because this computer is like born in, feels like Stone Age, it's seizing up because it's thin tight and it's running out of juice. Deemer agrees with me. Okay, we're in business. Oh, this is much better. I'm hoping my computer calms down. Right. So anyway, I hope that makes sense to you about the importance of dreams. Although you may not be able to interpret them, they are so significant. They're so important, and play an important aspect in our daily lives to such a big extent, So, but don't give yourself a headache by trying to interpret them or what they could mean, or don't read about other meanings and other symbology online of, oh, if you dream of butterflies, it means something, or, allow yourself the freedom to interpret your dreams how you feel they mean to you, because they're your dreams. They're not somebody else's dreams. And so a butterfly in your dream could be something completely different in somebody else's, if a butterfly was existing in somebody else's dream. Like, only you know the meanings to that, and however you decide the meaning for your dreams is totally of your own importance, is what I'm trying to get at. So anyway, let me check things out here. I feel like I've been talking forever. Hey guys. Okay, I can get into some Q&A now. Right, sorry. Hi, Joey. Hi, Goddess TV. I'm happy you're doing these. Hello to you in Kenya. I hope you got some information, or you are feeling like you're guided in the right direction with juju. You know what I'm talking about. Stolos Path. Hello, much love from Dawn in British Columbia. Stolos Path. Hear you loud and clear. All good. Alter. I'm so grateful for this live stream. So glad to catch you online. I love the blackboard in the background. I know you are studying. Tell us more about what you're studying. Okay, so just quickly, I actually had my exam yesterday. I am doing a Bachelor of Education, but my major now, I'm doing secondary. I was doing primary school, but again, I'm listening to that intuition. I changed right at last minute to secondary because I love biology. I love chemistry. I'm so good at it. I've just breezed through that yesterday in my exam, but I absolutely, because it was like I had to complete a general science credit to get into this Bachelor of Education degree. It was a general science exam. Oh, God. And there's some aspects that I have just loathed doing. I have no passion for them, and I know I wouldn't have done well with them yesterday in the exam because it was to do with climate change. I'm just so over climate change. But I had to analyze these reports and these graphs, and I have just got no interest in them. And so it's been so hard for me to get the assignments done, and then especially yesterday in the exam, seeing the amount of that kind of content that was in the exam. Oh my gosh, that was such a pain in the ass. And if I'm going to be marked down, it's going to be because of that. So analyzing graphs, statistical data, girl does not like it. But with chemistry and biology, piece of cake, piece of cake. So anyway, so I am doing a Bachelor of Education in secondary school. So hopefully I'm going to be teaching biology, and I had to choose a minor, and I've chosen classical history because you know I love history. I would have liked to have done a second, and maybe I can do a minor in mathematics or chemistry, but I doubt it because you can only do one of this, one one subject from science, and then you have to do a completely different subject like English or linguistics or anthropology or like history. So I chose history. Hi Athena, blessings to you. I love this class setup. the old chalk the old chalkboard, because nobody is even using chalk these days. It's like whiteboards and computer markers and things. Hi Scott. When we pass this body, are we waiting for the others to reincarnate? We are not waiting for anybody because it's all been pre-organized. It's all been pre-planned. We are exactly where we need to be right at this moment in our physical forms, in our non-physical forms. It's basically like the big seeing eye on the mountaintop. We can see everything that's happening, and I would use that analogy to represent our subconscious selves, and then everybody else knows what they're doing as well. It's just that in physical we can't see the bigger picture. Everyone, every single one of us is absolutely at the right place at the right time, no matter how bad the event, no matter how bad the situation or how good the situation. Everything is always at the right time at the right place. There are no accidents. Hi Lim. Hi Feral Gal. I'm so glad you're happy to catch the live stream. I only remember my reoccurring nightmares or prophetic dreams, not the rest. I remember a lot, and if you're remembering nightmares, then take that as a sign that your subconscious self is bringing to the surface what what you're needing to process or go through. It it will not bring anything of insignificance. Everything that you dream of is there. There's so much discrimination with what comes to the surface to address you in the dream time. There is no randomness to that, even though it feels random. Like, I mean, it seems like the most random, stupid dream. I had a dream I was like riding a bicycle in a city that I just don't like because it's so grimy and dirty, and I'm flying on this bike, and I woke up and thinking, oh my gosh, what is the significance of that? I try and stay away from that, that big city town as much as I can, and my subconscious is bringing it up in the dream time. What the hell's that all about? So, you just have to have faith, knowing that your non-physical self, the non-physical aspect of you, is bringing it up because it is significant. To whatever means that is, I have no idea, and neither does anybody else. But it is what it is, and so you have to trust that the expanded portion of yourself is doing exactly what it needs to do. So Alter says, Andulairah, so now that you are studying chemistry, what are your thoughts about monatomic precious metals? I'm not actually sure, but I feel that anything that is naturally made by the earth is going to be so much more powerful than anything that is synthetically made. And in terms of gold in particular, I mean, gold, you have to remember that natural gold or natural silver has spent so many millions of years in the earth and melded together at the most precise moment to create such a chemical reaction to produce gold. And the time and the pressure and the effort and the energy it's taken to do that, to create that chemical reaction, is just so profound to me. For us to come along and create synthetic metals, or even, well, actually, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence, because a lot of isotopes that are made are still made from natural earth elements, or natural earth metals. So I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence about it. But I just think anything that's synthetically made has no match against something that is naturally created from Mother Earth. Goddess TV says, yes, I've been getting information about the juju, haha. These stories here around the coastline about some women who turn into cats. Specifically, I believe in shape-shifting. Can I just share a little thing off topic? I agree with you. She keeps going on saying here, they are doing a lot of things, capturing jinns and keeping them in their homes. Do you know what? Why am I smelling smoke? I just smelled smoke. Okay. That could be very much a clairvoyant thing right now. But let me tell you, when I first moved to New York City, before I had money, before I was working, for a very wealthy family, I was dirt poor. I was so poor. I remember how broke I was, and I literally got a job working for tips. I wasn't even on a salary because I had to work out some shit with my visa. Oh my God, that whole visa immigration process in the US, wow. And I was struggling, and I end up meeting a really beautiful guy from Nigeria, His name was Hamadou, and I ended up moving in with him and his sisters, who all came from a village in Nigeria. And we lived up in the Bronx. We lived on like 170, just off of Broadway, 170 on Broadway. I don't know, something like that. But we were up in the Bronx, and he was a very quiet, very reserved kind of guy. Loved his sisters, and we'd work all day. I'd be working on tips. We'd come home and we would all cook just this one big dish of rice and fresh fish, and that was like his one main meal of the whole day. That they just ate once a day. Anyway, he would tell me, and this relates to what you're telling me now, Tracy, with regards to the juju, because he said to me when he was a kid living in the village, there would be certain nights where the parents in the village would round up all the kids and shove them inside someone's house because shit was going down outside, and they didn't want the children to see this. And he said one night he snuck out. He managed to sneak out because they all talked about it, and the parents were like, no, you can't see this, you can't see this. The parents didn't even want to see it either. But there was some black magic going on. There was some juju going on. They weren't members of the village. He made that clear. They were not a part of us. But there was things going on around the place that there were rumors of seeing humans shape-shifting into beasts, into dogs, into all sorts of things. But he said there was this one night where he actually got to sneak out. Well, he didn't get to, but he snuck out. He was naughty. He got out, and he said he saw with his own eyes. He said, I shit you not. He said, I saw these men, or he said they had the human form, these creatures flying around on sticks, so like broomsticks. They weren't broomsticks, but they were sticks, and he said he saw them flying in the air. And he said he just remembered the fear just dripping through his blood that they had seen him. He said that was it. After that, he never questioned it. He never ever snuck out again. He never wanted to talk about it ever again. It frightened him so much to see these men, or these creature men, I don't know what they were. He didn't know what they were, but he saw them flying around in the dark on these sticks. And Hamadou is a very genuine, a man of not many words. He would never bullshit about something like this. And the sisters backed it up, like they all were terrified about this. It scared them because it's real. It is real. It is real. 100% it is real. So that was a little story that I was was told about juju in Africa. I mean, it's obvious, it's very real. It's been around for forever, and just as much as someone that works in the occult, and you're dealing with non-physical entities, you also got to remember there are non-physical entities that are not good. They're bad, and so you really get out what you put in, and this is where you need to work out as someone that is working in the esoteric realm, what you're doing, who you're conjuring up, who you're dealing with, because it's real. It's so real. It's not. I mean, of course, there are a lot of shams. There are 100% a lot of shams and a lot of awful things going on just for the sake of power and money and fear mongering and control. But there is the population where it is 100% real and authentic. Uh, Pharaoh Girl says, I swear your IQ is through the roof. Did the aliens alter your DNA when you were abducted? I think of all these genius kids, preschool age and at genius levels. I agree with you. I think there is alterations going on um, all the time. Not with me so much, but with children for sure. But they're coming in already with different DNA structure. I truly believe that there is a third DNA strand that exists that is perhaps non-physical that scientists cannot pick up on children coming through on the planet now. I for sure know there's been some kind of modified, genetic upgrades, at least on my behalf. Um, to what extent, I don't know. But I just know that the abductions that I've had have for sure been of highly sexual nature. I know there's been eggs extracted. I feel whatever has happened is a result or a consequence of how I live my life now. Why am I, why are all my friends married and I am not married or have children? I just, I feel like there is an influence from them that has, um, because of who I am, I just feel like there is an influence around me that, I mean, for example, before, like, because the height of my alien abduction was what, 2009 to 2012, I think. I said that was when, that was just, those years with this was just so extreme. It was so severe, so many physical ailments. Oh, and it was happening every week. It was just so ridiculous. And I was sick. I was sick. It was making me sick. Um, there was so much going on. But what I'm saying is that after this, this kind of zenith of or apex of all these experiences, this is where the madness and the obsession for science has come from. Because before this, or before these recollections, or before these abductions, these conscious abductions, I had no interest in physics or science or chemistry or microbiology or genetics. But now I am so like enthralled by it. I don't like it, just makes sense that that is where it's come from. My care for the environment, how I talk to my plants, I talk to my animals. I isolate myself from society, from mainstream society. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. So, I didn't have an interest in biology or chemistry or physics or quantum mechanics before these abductions. Well, that I can't, I can't trace it back because I was very artistic at an early age. I had no interest in science, and for me to now not only studying science or like doing a major in biology with my education degree, because before the education degree I was, you know, doing a science degree. And I'm very good at microbiology, and I'm very very good at chemistry. Where has this come from? I can't explain that because ask me this 15 years ago, like I thought chemistry was like the worst thing at high school. I wanted nothing to do with maths or chemistry, or I did do year 12 biology, but I wasn't interested in it. I didn't care about it. Not like not like now. Now it's ridiculous. And it's going to show in my exam results. I don't think I feel like I did not get a question incorrect with anything to do with chemistry or the microbiology or genetic side of things with the exam, because I'm so passionate about it. The information just comes so easily, and because obviously I researched it and studied it, it just comes so natural, um, and it definitely showed in my assignments. All my assignments, well, I've finished this semester on high distinction. I got the high distinctions like in the mid-90s, like 90%, I think. Yeah, like all of my, like the biology, genetics, microbiology side of my science was all, my scores were all in the mid-90s. But what's let me down now, even though I'm still in a high distinction, were the last two assignments, which was, oh God, it just did my head in. It was the analyzing of reports and statistical data. Oh my gosh, I can't think of anything worse. And that definitely dropped my score down. Even though I'm still high distinction, it must have, I must have, I don't know, like one of the assignments I might have got like 20 out of 30 or something. I mean, I still did okay, but like nothing like the microbiology or the chemistry. So anyway, where this comes from, it has to have something to do with them, the influence of them. I don't know where else it comes from. I don't know where else it comes from. I can't explain it, but you know, like my I don't know. I can't explain it, but I would. My intuition tells me that for sure their influence has absolutely guided the way that my life is turning out now. Arthur says, I am smoking. Meanwhile, watching your stream. Maybe that's why you smell smoke. Yeah, it's so weird because it's gone now. Yeah. Oh, it's funny you say that, Athena. So Athena says, speaking of the jinn, I remember the story of that man you spoke of. I believe maybe it was his brother or his friend. It was his cousin. I'm pretty sure it was his cousin, who made some kind of deal with the jinn, and it was a sad story. Yeah. I'll tell, if you're interested, I can tell you about it. I'll just kind of sum it up. But so I knew this guy in Dubai. He was a really good friend, and his cousin. I'm pretty sure it was his cousin. It was a relation anyway. Someone close to him. He was working with the jinn in these countries, and he died a really bad death because he tried to break away from the jinn, because basically he was giving offerings. He was working with the jinn. He was giving offerings every day, and so my friend, they were out on a farm. They were out, and they had seen the cousin going in and out of a room, which was obviously an altar room, with platters of food and, you know, like rice and things as offerings to the jinns. And basically in the morning, all that was gone. It was gone. So all that food was gone. So anyway, now this is where it gets. I think this is the story you're telling me about, because there was another one with a guy with a donkey who pulled the tail of the donkey. But I'll tell the one, because there's a lot of it in these old Middle Eastern lands. But so anyway, they were planning to. They're all planning to go to Oman, and the trip to Muscat from where they were. I mean, it was like 8 hours. It's a long ass drive to Muscat. You know, they're in Dubai. It's a long drive, and so basically, they were going to go to Oman, and as far as I know, they all left, and the cousin said, "I'll see you, you know, see you in a couple of days," and like literally when they turned up to Oman, like my friend, when they turned up to Oman, within an hour. Here is this cousin turned up to Oman with them. This is a guy that has never ever, this cousin has never had to have a passport. He has literally just turned up. When they would go on holidays to like Thailand, I remember he said to me they went to Thailand. This cousin just turned up to where they were staying. No passport, nothing. He just turned up. And so this guy has never had to have a passport, and he's done like he just turns up. And I remember the friend always said his eyes were always bloodshot. His eyes were always bloodshot. But anyway, something had happened, and he wanted to cut his relationship with the jinn, and they had reminded him, saying, "You swore loyalty for us or to us for your whole life, and now you're wanting to leave us. We can't allow that, and we're going to kill you." Basically, he had no idea how he was going to die, but he tried to get away, and they blocked up the they blocked up his orifices. Like he couldn't piss, basically, and he died a very slow, painful death because he couldn't pee. He couldn't pee, and that's how he died. And there's so many weird things that I've either heard about or seen pictures of with in these lands in the Middle East. They're very superstitious, and as much as they don't believe or say, within Islam that witchcraft and sorcery, it's all, punishable by death, they all believe in it. They all believe in it. So it's all like very contradicting, and it's crazy. Yeah. It would be hard to find a vibrational match for you. You are so unique, gifted, wise, and old so. Oh, it's not even. I don't even know what you would call it, but I definitely know I'm different. Definitely know I'm different, and there are probably a lot of humans or souls having experiences as human like me on this planet, but I definitely feel like maybe like a fourth or fifth blended, fourth or fifth density blended wanderer. I feel like a wanderer of this planet. I have never felt settled. I've never felt settled, and it's always been very difficult for me to settle. In terms of relationships, the relationships have always been extreme, and it's as if I'm with someone and like on a sexual level, you're with someone, and I feel like in many ways, well, of course, I talk about the importance of choosing your partners and how you come together, but there is always an energetic exchange happening when you are having sex. And so in many ways I feel like I feel like whoever I've come in touch with on a personal or intimate level has found my energy, or the energy that I withhold, very attractive, and that they need it, almost as if they're like a psychic vampire. And I see that because it's so weird at how some of these encounters have come together. And this is what I mean by saying how there is nothing that happens that I'm sorry to interrupt, but I am feeling so hot right now. Like my knees are sweating, and this has just hit me so hard. I don't know what's going on, but I feel super, super hot right now. Anyway, I say this as in there's no accidents with what happens in your life or who you end up with, because of the extreme nature of some people coming in. For example, a lot of you know that I had a relationship with a very big man in the world. Um, there's been a couple, but there's one of major significance, and the way that came together and how that happened was just It was down to the millisecond of how, I mean, because when he first saw me, it was within a second. There was some kind of recognition that he would never even think of it in this way. Well, I don't think he would, but there was some kind of subconscious recognition that happened within a second. Within within 5 seconds of seeing me, he literally stopped walking in a shopping mall. He had all his guards around him. I mean, they're all in civilian clothing, but it was obvious that he was somebody. And he literally stopped walking, or in the direction where he was going, and just stood in front of me like a psycho, just staring. It was the most unnerving, ridiculous, embarrassing situation, but that is how it happened. And then he walked away. It was the most bizarre experience. And I mean, had I been sitting somewhere else, or sitting on the bench behind me and facing the other way, I could have been in the bathroom. His car could have got stopped in traffic, for 5 minutes, and I would have gone and walked somewhere else. It was just meant to be, and the way that came together was ridiculously perfected. Like, as in timing, the timing was perfect, and from that, now this is what I mean. Now this is all about um, the energetic attraction that there was obviously happening between us, because one of the girls that I used to live with, a local girl. I mean, they're rich, they're stunningly gorgeous. I mean, so beautiful. Any of these girls that I live with, could be like editorial, pictorial models in magazines. They're just so stunningly gorgeous. Um, and yet she was invited. So the thing is, with these big sheikhs, with these big people in these positions, they have people that organize like big parties, and they literally employ people all over the world to look and scout beautiful girls, pay them a certain amount of money to fly them over and bring them to be at these big parties for the sheikhs. For the sheikhs to find, the most beautiful girl or whatever, like that. It happens. And anyway, this girl, this one sister that I used to live with, they're all rich. They all have money. They're all miserable as hell, but they are so stunningly beautiful. She said to me once, we were having a private conversation, and she said, because she was asking me about him, and she said she just could not believe how a foreigner, me, someone on the outside who wasn't a local person, could get to someone like him, that inner circle. There are so many layers to try and get to these people, or at least there was back in the day, because they didn't. I mean, even now, like, they may have social media accounts, but it's not them regulating it for the most part. They usually have other private accounts or whatever. And so she was just hell bent at, confused of how a foreigner could intercept these security layers and get to someone like him. She just couldn't understand. She said, "I'm a local girl, and even we can't get to these people." She's like, I mean, they have been with these people, but she said she was at this party and they were there for hours, and she said there were literally girls everywhere, and this girl is stunning. She said she was just dripping in diamonds. She would have looked, I mean, she would have looked incredible, like a Middle Eastern Barbie doll, just gorgeous. And she said, I saw him and he saw me, but he walked straight past me. She said, I don't understand. And I'm for sure, this girl is so much more beautiful physically than me. I am not much to look at, but this is what I mean with, in terms of energetic attraction. Like, she could not understand. See, in her mind, she was all more concerned about the physical attraction, saying, I don't understand how he couldn't be attracted to me. She didn't mean it in a, like she was better than me, but she just said, I know I am beautiful. How could he not even look at me for a second? He walked straight past me. I don't understand it. And you were with him, and you know him, and you know what I mean? Like, she just didn't understand it. And that's what I mean. When you have these strong connections like that, it's so much more than just physical surface beauty. It's so much deeper than that. It's a subconscious recognition. Like, it's a unconscious, subconscious acknowledgement that is so beyond physical surface beauty that, and even he said it's so beyond that. He made one comment to me once saying, there is just something about you that, um, you are local. You're like a Bedouin. He said, you are, an Arab. I said, no, I'm not born. I'm not born here. I'm born in Australia. He said, no, no, no. There's something in your blood. That was the only comment he made about it, because obviously it's just something you don't really talk about. And and I get what he said, though. There was something else. He felt that recognition, that subconscious recognition. So that's what I'm, roundabout saying, is that looks really are only skin deep. There is so much more of an energetic connection that is so beyond, you know, physical attributes and spoken language and anything we can comprehend. It has to be, and it lasted for as long as it did, because I feel like he was energetically satiated, and that's what it comes to. It's like when people fall in love and they come together and they're together for a certain time, and at the time they really feel like it's till death to us part, but they find that, after 5 years, they're not energetically bonded anymore. So it's very much like that. Goddess TV says, we used to be told as kids that of a stranger stopped you. Oh, we used to be told as kids that of a stranger stop. If a stranger stopped you, the first thing to do is to check if they had a shadow, because there were people who had glamours on. They weren't human, only appearing as such. Yes, absolutely, I agree with you. I have heard about that as well. Some creatures not having shadows, um, that appear to be as humans. Make sure they have a shadow, so you can see, or a fingerprint. Fingerprint was another thing, if you had that opportunity. But there's just so many entities and beings in the world, and if you watch the news or read the news or watch any of this crap that's going on in the world, it's just games. I don't watch any of it, but I know it's there, and it's every day. If I just made one click of a web page or something, I would see all of it. And it is a real conscious effort, to stay away from reading or listening to mainstream news, seeing mainstream pictures. Oh my gosh, especially on social media. Like, even I'm on Instagram, but not so much. Like, I see how I'm hardly subscribed to anyone on my Instagram or follow anyone on my Instagram, and yet I'm sent all this bullshit, all these algorithmic pictures of, and I'm just like, I did not elect to see this, but that's what I mean. Like, it takes a real conscious effort, of really filtering what it is you want to see, and I'm just over it. So, I did post my exam paper thing. It was my cheat sheet exam paper, on Instagram yesterday, but I'm so over it. Like, oh gosh, like, it takes a real conscious effort, and I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of seeing, the imagery that is put on my account, and I didn't elect to see it. It's just like, there is such an effort to try and condition the human species on every level, on every level. Angry Bird says, as far as I know, in Islam, they recognize the jinn. There's two types of those, but working with them is haram. Yes, of course they recognize the jinn. They fear it, but they say there are good and bad jinns. But I guess there. Oh, it's just there's so many it's like witchcraft. There's lines of how much you allow into your life and influence your life. There are people that work with good jinns, as in a witch or someone. A spiritualist may work with good energies, like even angels. And then there are those that just are very self-serving and want to attract power through dark energies. And these spiritual entities, they can change their character, their names, their faces, their everything about them. And so they can, it could be just a disgruntled deceased man that has passed over, and suddenly he tells the person who's dabbling in a Ouija board or something that he's the devil, like, just to scare the shit out of him. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so like, people think, oh, it's a bad energy, oh, it's the devil. The devil is subjective matter. It's something created. It's something it's I'm not saying that there for sure is not bad energies, because there are, and there are creatures that you would call them demonic, if you want to call them demonic. It's a Christian label, but I would never call it demonic. I would just call it heavy or bad energy, because there's a lot of that, and there are creatures walking this earth that are they see us as a food source. We are a source for them. They feed off, our adrenals. They feed off our emotions, and there is a lot of that going on. It'll just surprise you so much with, it's just the truth is really stranger than the truth of it is just stranger than a science fiction, and that's all there is to it. It really is. Look at our world. You only have to look at our world and all the conditions impinged upon us as human beings, and all the secrecies, all the deceit, all the lies, all the people that have been knocked off and killed and maimed, and like, trying to come out with a different truth. You have to be careful with what you're coming out with, because for someone, okay, for example, someone who has been maimed, someone that was murdered, like someone like Phil Schneider. I don't know if any of you have heard of Phil Schneider. His story is incredible. His background, his history is incredible. You can't knock the guy's credentials, but a lot of undercover people, I guess, that work for Black Ops or whatever, always try to discredit him. You cannot discredit a guy that he comes out and his story was just so powerful. He was like a William Cooper. He was in that category, and he came out with a story of having a skirmish between these aliens when they were making these bases called DUMBs, so deep underground military bases, where they would use a technology where they would basically melt the rock and form these massive cavities for these DUMBs, these deep underground military bases. And he said, as they were coming down one shaft to make another one of these bases, this stench, he said, it was the worst stench you could ever possibly imagine, suddenly came in the air, and they had hit a cavity where these aliens had been living, and a skirmish took place. He said 66 personnel were killed that day. I think it was 66, because these aliens killed them. He said one of them wiped his hand and hit Phil. So there was a soldier that sacrificed his own life to save Phil's life, and he said he took his gun or his whatever it was and killed this alien, but before he killed him, this alien swiped his hand across the chest because the smell had come from the aliens, obviously, and hit Phil with this beam, this laser beam, and opened up his entire chest cavity. And Phil lifts his shirt up. You can see this massive scar. I mean, and 3 of his fingers were burnt off from this laser thing, whatever it was. You can see they are melted. How is this guy lying about something like this? And then not only that, but all the specimens, the rocks, the rare earth rocks, and some that weren't even from our planet. He was in possession of. He said there have been like 7 attempts on his life. He even showed a recent one of being shot in the shoulder by an undercover agent. They were trying to knock him out, and they got him in the end. They said it was a suicide, his death, but it's so clearly obvious. When you can see there is a picture of him. It's not, if you've got a weak stomach, don't look for it, but it's there, and you can see he's absolutely been strangled. And it just shows you need to be careful with someone like him. He was absolutely a threat. He was just so 100% in his conviction of bringing them down, and just going to town on them, like William Cooper. Even Bill Clinton said William Cooper was the most dangerous man on radio. He was taken out. So many of these people, you are so conditionalized on what you're allowed to see, think. I mean, look at all the distractions in the world that's going on. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, and then the conditions of not being allowed to catch your own drinking water. Like, how is that? How is that allowed? How is that imposed upon someone that someone else is telling you how much water or getting water from the sky is illegal? Your conditions on your rights as a human being are being impinged upon. Your basic survival rights are being conditionalized by who knows who, what knows, who knows what is doing this. I have no idea. I can't even imagine. I have an idea, but I really can't even imagine who could be behind it, but I don't think it's human. Anyway, I'm going way off topic here. This is crazy. Yeah. My grandma apparently knows him personally. And knows who personally. I don't know who we're talking about here. Oh my gosh. You're so sweet, Athena. Thank you. Goddess TV says, there's a time I dreamt that you did some kind of ritual on me. You anointed me and were muttering something. That's a whole other story. The details of the encounter were too many to be a coincidence. Yeah, I agree. There's some things that in non-physical, I mean, there are no length constraints. I mean, non-physical, you think of something and you're there. I actually think that technology is here as well. I think time travel technology is here. I feel like technology. Do you remember that dream? I don't know if many of you remember, but it was that dream that I had about the jump rooms, like that diner, the cafe where people would go. You would literally line up. Your molecules and your atoms would disintegrate, and you would end up on other points of the planet. And I remember lining up, and it was called something like Patcher. Do you remember? I had that dream, and it was like this time travel technology that came in the future, and we were lining up. I remember there's a whole bunch of people, like a cafe atmosphere. We were lining up, and I literally found myself in a on a like on a corner bar, a dimly lit bar, upscale posh kind of bar in London, and it was cold. It had just rained. I could feel the wetness on my arms. I could see the pavement. It was wet. I'm just thinking to myself when I was weaving through the people in this bar, thinking, "Holy shit, I am in London now. I am in London. I literally was at this other place, and now I'm in London." Like, it was just ridiculous. Just the disbelief that I had just literally turned up in London was unfathomable to me, and it was real. It was so real. Hi, Laura. Hi, Juniper. Oh, thank you so much. Athena says, "Do you believe multi-dimensional beings can manifest themselves physically in any form they choose?" 100%. 100% they can manifest in any form they choose. I feel like it's happening all the time, through animals, through trees, through anything, through any medium, biological medium that they can host or dwell within. Absolutely, they are. And the attachments are happening to people. They don't even know it. And that's why I said in the last live stream, I was talking about how watching too much TV or being in front of screens too much creates a hypnotic alpha brainwave state for a human to linger in. And it's easy for these entities to attach and to feed off of energy and to influence. It's easy, um, it's I think there's a technology in place that is just so beyond anything that we know of. I mean, I couldn't even begin to guess what that is, but I think it's so beyond, and the breadcrumbs are slowly being handed out. I mean, look at the movie Ad Astra. Has anyone seen that? I saw that. I thought, oh my God, this is such incremental revealing. Like, it's so incrementally revealing of um, life outside of our planet. I thought, oh my God, this is so planned. This is so orchestrated how this is done. Humans having bases on Mars, having bases on the moon, having like a localized space program, and then, taking a spacecraft to Neptune. Like, it's so telling of where this is going. Come 2030, you're going to see it. You're going to see it. It's going to slowly be coming out with conditions. It's all part of the big plan. Oh, my grandmother knows a guy who works with jinns and was all over the news and on TV a couple of years back in Kosovo. He said that jinns look like humans, except the bad ones are a little deformed in the face and some are short like a 13-year-old. Wow. I believe it. I saw hello, Alex. Actually, I saw the strangest thing, and it's not on YouTube anymore. Like, when YouTube was back in those grassroots days, like back in 2008, 2009, whatever, there was it may still even be online, but there was someone that had taken a picture of a house that was burning in Saudi Arabia, but then and hearing screams, but then the next day it looked as if it was brand new again, and this kept repeating itself. Like, the house would burn, and then it wasn't burning, and then the house would burn, and then it wasn't burning. There's a house like that in Ras Al Khaimah, which is north of Dubai. Oh, look, there are places scattered throughout the Middle East like this, and there's so much, going on with these places. There are everywhere, but some are more accepted than others. Like this country, Australia, it would be full of portals and stories, and especially with the Indigenous community. Like I've said previously in videos in the past, like there are places where I grew up in the desert, that the Indigenous people of that area, it's out of bounds. They will not go there. They will not go there because shit's gone down there. Real weird stuff. And there was even, I'm going to finish on this story, um, because I've been going on for an hour and a half now. I don't want to bore you guys anymore, but when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, um, I went out for a week of um, like mustering goats on horseback for a whole week. My ass, my legs, my groin was so sore after this because it was every single day and it was for hours on end. But there was one night, um, actually, it was the last night that I was out there. But we went to this place, far out in the ranges. I mean, in the middle of nowhere, in these big ranges, um, and we were out at this area, and it's very kind of around sacred space, and there's been a lot of weird things. They call them, so I don't I don't know if they refer to, so obviously we know there's the jinn, but then in the indigenous community, at least in the Adnyamatna community, they call it the Karachi man. And the Karachi man is like a half human, half creature type being. Um, and anyway, they, like Muslims, they believe in this, like it creates a lot of fear in them. Anyway, um, we were out of this area, this old stone hut. It's a very um, significant area for them because there's been a lot of weird things happen, and so none of them would really go out to this area by themselves. But there was a whole group of us. It was late. We'd had a barbecue, and we were like the horses were all watered and fed, and we were going back to. There's like a little village, like 30 k's away, that we were driving back to on a dirt road at night. So, oh my gosh, and I freaked out, and I'm like, I'm not Aboriginal, and this freaked the shit out of me. So I was with another girl. She was driving a car, like a ute, tray top ute kind of thing, and there was another car in front of us with other, friends and family in that one, and there was another one way behind us. Um, they had to go somewhere else and shut a yard up or something, and then they were coming later. Anyway, we were by ourselves driving on this dirt road. We had the windows down. It was summertime. It was like the school summer holidays, and I didn't know anything about these Karachi men, or like this thing. I was, what, 15 at the time. I didn't know anything about them. And we had the windows down, and I just remember resting my head, looking up at the stars on the car door, and I just remember like how beautiful the night skies are, just phenomenal out there. The skies are so dark, and seeing the Milky Way belt is just, it's incredible. I couldn't even put it into words. Anyway, I've got my head stuck out. All of a sudden, we're along this creek. We're along this creek. Like, we're driving along this creek. We're not in the creek, but the main dirt road was next to the creek. And all of a sudden, I just start smelling this smell of dead ants. Dead ants. Has any of you ever I try not to squash ants, but I have squashed ants, and that smell of a dead ant, I smelt that so strongly, like just of, oh, just carcass. It was awful. And smelling like a dead kangaroo or a dead emu or a sheep or whatever, it's common out there, and I know what that smells like. But this was like dead ants. I pulled my head in the window and I looked at her. She's Aboriginal. And I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Can you smell that?" She's like, "Smell what?" I said, "Can you not smell that smell?" She's like, "I can't smell." I said, "It's dead ants." Soon as I said dead ants, she just looked at me like I'd said something completely, like she was shocked. Anyway, she speeds the car up. She speeds the car up, and I'm just like, what have I said? And anyway, within 5 minutes, this white owl, you just never see white owls out of this area. This white owl comes straight for our windscreen, just like straight for us, and she slams on the brake. She screams. She slams on the brake. I'm just like, oh my God, like this just owl just came out of nowhere. And by this point, she is just shitting it. She is freaking out. Like, I'm not understanding anything what's going on. I just thought it was an owl, coming for the windscreen. Anyway, I mean, I was scared then because she was driving so fast and so crazy. And I was scared that I knew she was scared. There was something going on. And anyway, we got back to this village. The other car was there. All the dogs around the place are going mental. And it's so windy. The wind is blowing straight for this village. This village is right on this creek, and everyone is just AWOL. Everyone is freaking out. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? What is happening? What's happening here tonight? I'm freaking out. And they're all freaking out. They're locking up windows. They're shutting doors. They're shutting sheds. Like, the dogs are just going mad. They're howling. They're like barking like hysterically, like really just upset. And anyway, but no one answered me. No one answered me. They shuffled me inside the house. They locked all the doors, and they're all talking amongst each other. They're talking in language, saying, "Oh, make sure that door's shut, this door's shut. You got that door shut? All the windows were shut." I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? Anyway, the girl that I was with, she finally said to me, she said, "I know you wouldn't understand." She said, "But you saying that you smelt, they're all like, like they're not arguing, but they're all they're all stressed. They're all kind of really tense, and they're all talking with each other in language." And she said, "You know that smell you smelt?" She said, "That dead ant smell." She said, "Tonight," she said, "the elders here have said the Karachi men are coming down the creek to the village tonight," and they're all freaking out. And she said to me, like, because she had no idea this was happening until the elders were saying that they're coming, and everyone was shitting it. And she said that smell of dead ants, she said that is a signature smell of them letting you know that they are close by. And then she said the white owl is, she said they shapeshift. They shapeshift into white owls. She said it's so rare to see them. She said when that was coming straight for the windscreen, she said she almost had a heart attack. She was so scared. She knew then something was going on. And we get back, the wind is just blown up. It's whipping. The dogs are going mental. I'm shitting myself. But she said to me, they couldn't bring harm to you because, you're a white woman or you're not of our kind. But for us, they come looking for certain individuals, particularly young men, to take them and they put them through like, major rituals. Some die because these creatures, they're not, they're not fully human. I don't know what they are, but that whole night, I don't think I slept a damn wink. I don't think anyone did. They put on all the air conditioners, even though it wasn't hot outside, even though it was summer, it was still cool. And they put them on because they didn't want to hear. They said, we've heard footsteps um, around the house, around the veranda. We don't want to hear them when they come, because they come and they come looking. And they have had instances where young men just disappear. They just disappear. They come and get them. And not just men, but there's been a few. And oh my God. So that was my experience with that when I was younger, and I had no idea what the hell was going on. But they very much believe it, just like the Muslims with jinn, and it's real. It's real. I think there are just different. I think these entities are. They have a they have a there's a commonness about them, and yet they just fit into roles depending on the culture. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but anyway, that was my local experience of that, and there are so many other stories and things that I've know about that I've been told. It's just these people, they would never make something like that up. Anyway, it's been a pleasure today. This has kind of been a long-winded live stream, talking about the dream worlds and how dreams are the gateways to giving glimpses of other universes, all those other universes and bubbles and dimensions that we exist upon, but yet just can't make sense of, or just don't understand. It's so beyond anything we could try and verbalize or put into words. It's just, we know it's there. I think just accepting it, accepting that we are just a piece of the pie, and then just getting on with simply living in harmony, creating harmonious lifestyle in a time where the planet is going through such a conjunct. There's such a transitional time. How many times have I said, like, oh, the world is changing, oh, we're transitioning. This is exactly the time period of this transition. It's going to be going on for the next 20 years. Real big transition. It's not going to stop, but it's so more obvious now than ever. And yeah, the future is just live day by day. Just live day by day, and enjoy your life. Make it count. Make it count. So, in the meantime, everybody, I need a drink of water. I need to see my chooks, and I need a piece of fruit. I send you my love. I send you my blessings, and may you always be blessed by the supreme truth and love of the cosmos, as always. Love you guys. Hope you enjoyed this live stream.